Hello, everyone. I think it's time for us to get you a little bit up to, or rather, I think it's time for us to share a little bit more information about some of the things I've already shared with you. Now, talk to you about this project for a couple of years now, and timing of all the events that are taking place on this planet today are aligning a little bit with what was said in some of these interviews. I am here not because I want to create panic, but rather offer you what is the outlook of hope. And why is that? Well, despite what has been said on many of the videos and many of the things that have taken place, some have been diverged, or as we have previously discussed, sometimes the chronovisor gives us outlooks, potential outcomes to all of this that is happening. Well, what I am about to show you is just a little bit of what happened, was said in these interviews, and I would like to show you with my phone first. Just take you in to this little place right here. You see? You can click right there on that bio. The links I have there for you. Stalin, which is the playlist that I told you about, and the Anderson Institute, where there's a lot of information that I have shared with you previously. So let's get with that first. Here you go. This is what the Stallion is. Oh, sorry about that. This is the playlist that I tell you about. I added one video recently. One video that I watched and I actually shared a screenshot of, being a map. But what I want to show you actually is, before that, is this. Take a look. This is the playlist. Some of these videos, especially these two right here, are actually not on YouTube anymore. And it is pretty much related to all of these things that are said throughout the videos, although they are not connected in any way or form. And well, like I said, this channel is completely gone from YouTube, but this is the video I want to show you, the last one I added just recently. Take a look at all the other ones before, if you like, but that one's just a little piece of information that is probably on this video right here from Al Bilik, his account of the years 2137 and 2749. So let's take a look at that video. Subtitles on so that we can read what he's saying. And the reason, before I actually get onto it, the reason I tell you it's one potential outcome today is because not only has the information from the map changed, the years, the predicted area of destruction that is shown between this map shows the years from 2020 to 2025. When I first looked at this, the year was not 2020. It was 2024. So between these years, between 1 year gap between these years, 2024 and 2025, there was a predicted area destruction. But now, some time has passed, and as I have already discussed previously, there are divergences. We know them as a Mandela effect. It's one of the effects that occurs when you mess with time, where you use basically when you bend time, let's say. So that's one. There has been a lot of other things before, actually, that I've noticed have changed. For example, locations of things. I'm gonna give you just one example without giving you too many details. There's a place that I visited a long time ago, and I didn't visit that place until years after. But what really threw me off when I tried to visit the place is that the location was changed. It's within the same area, but the actual location was changed, so to speak. I was driving down the path, trying to take that little hill that I was going to go to the place. But when I arrived to the place, there was nothing. It was changed. The thing that I was looking for wasn't there. So I had to find out what happened. Why is it not there? As I remember, it was actually on the other side now, and a lower elevation than the original word line from where, let's say, I come from, my memories, my consciousness, let's call it, or the divergence, the resets. There's so many ways to look at this, but to keep it simple is just that there's a place that originally was located at a certain location, at a certain area. But time passes. We don't visit those places. We don't frequent those areas as much. So when we try to go back with the idea of making a video or talking or looking at it, since it was on my way to work, I was taken with the surprise that the area changed. It is no longer where it was. And when that happened, I realized that what is shown in the video is a warning. And from all the times that we've talked and discussed about how to overcome our destiny, so to speak, is that learn to discern, learn to observe, and don't let the fears that are being casted upon us take over control of you. I hope that the videos that I have shown you throughout the years help in some way. And I just want to show you this because, like I said, the timing is just within the frame.
And eventually I start seeing some very strange things on TV. I start asking questions. And the first thing I noted was references geographically to the United States, and I noticed severe changes in the coastlines and the interior, and the fact that Europe didn't look at all like when I had remembered it. And I started asking questions. What's happened? What's been going on? That's when they said, I want to see maps of what's happened and some description. I said, it looks like there's been major earth changes. And I said, yes, there have been. It all happened in the period between the beginning of the 21st century and basically the year 2025. All right, what happened? So they told me, they showed me maps, and to describe it briefly, the east coast of the United States was rather heavily changed, not as much as the west coast, but neither one for that matter. None of the changes I saw would fit some of the very far out maps promulgated in the late 20th century by various people such as the I Am America group and Michael Gordon Scannion and his series of maps. They were what I would consider the worst case possible scenario, and it didn't happen that way. But what I did see was changes in the East Coast, particularly when it went south towards where Carolinas and Georgia is. The Georgia coastline going inland, so that Atlanta, instead of being about 100 miles from the ocean, was only 3 miles from the ocean. A lot of the east coast of Georgia was gone. Parts of North Carolina had been chopped off. Florida was gone completely except for the area of the Panhandle.
Was this on the TV programs that you saw, or did they give you a map?
I saw this in references on the TV program, which they showed pictures of the coastline in reference to something else that we're dealing with. And I see this, I said, what is this? This isn't the way I remember it. So that's when I started asking what's going on, and they gave me the maps. The Gulf Coast was drastically changed. There was about a 50-mile wide swath north of where we knew the Gulf Coast to be, as it is today, in the beginning of the 21st century. And about 50 miles wide was just gone. It was underwater, which means New Orleans was gone, Houston was gone, Corpus Christi, Texas was gone as such, though it was just barely, because that's a little higher ground there. It was just lowlands that went. And I don't think it was geographic upheaval. It was just a case of the ocean waters have been rising, plus other changes. And the big change in the middle of the country was that the Mississippi became an inland waterway, and a rather wide one, all the way up to the Great Lakes, which then became one lake. Part of the original lakes disappeared, and other parts sank, so that you had one large lake there, which joined with the St. Lawrence Seaway, which became a very large seaway. And the rest of the U.S., the western part, to the other side of the new Mississippi Basin, if you will, was all there, essentially intact, with the exception of California and parts of Oregon and small parts of Washington. California suffered from where the San Andreas Fault came in land. San Andreas Fault cuts into California between San Francisco and San Jose. That's where it cuts inland. It's no longer in the ocean, but it's cutting across land. It goes down basically central California, so that when you get past Los Angeles, it winds up cutting through the middle of the Salton Sea. And much of that section west of that fault line, of the San Andreas Fault line, wound up in the ocean, not all of it. San Diego was gone, parts of Southern California was gone, but the strange part was where Los Angeles was, parts of it were still left. The coastal sections of each country was gone. The beach areas were collapsed, the cliffs were collapsed, but areas of the higher sections of Beverly Hills were still there. Pasadena was still there. Downtown Los Angeles is still referred to as the island, because it was on a rock, and there's literally an island there, even now, although it's certainly not underwater, but it winds up being surrounded by water. So there were a lot of changes that way.
So now, we see a little bit of what Mr. Billick went through and experienced. Again, most of what he's talking about, you can find it in this video right here.
Our question for Al Bielek is to describe what you remember about those 6 weeks that you spent in 2137, and perhaps implications of that experience for our...
Now, I invite you to take a look by yourselves. I just wanted to show you that part. I invite you to take a look by yourselves. I just wanted to show you that part. Very important, because again, what is going on today, the situation of the world, it is by no means a joke. It is by no means something that should be taken lightly, and it is definitely not something that we should see with fear. We have been given a chance by these people who left this behind to change what is going on, what's supposed to happen. We have already witnessed, we have already experienced changes, divergences, and this is going to be the next one. I have complete faith in these words, because I've seen the changes many other ways. I hope you understand that the reason why this is heavily censored is because they don't want you to know. They don't care about you. The people that are going around saying that this is all misinformation, that whatever they come up with, I don't want you to think that I'm here to change your mind. I am only here to do what I have to do, and is to share. this information. Now, what you do with it is really up to you, whether you believe it or not. But I do hope that this helps you in understanding that no matter what you hear, they're always doing something entirely different than what they're actually saying they are doing. And that goes, this doesn't need too much explanation if we've been paying attention the last few years, that they're telling us that everything is okay. Oh, don't worry, everything is just fine. Well, you ask yourself that question and look at your situation today from what it was a couple of years ago. It might be hard to answer for you. You might have some cognitive dissonance going on. You're still holding on to what you believe on because it's really hard to let go. And I understand that. It took me a long time to let go of a lot of things. And I'm not here to urge you to change your ways or your mind. I'm here to tell you that I understand. This is not an easy thing. This is not something that I hope you change your mind on the next day. No. That's up to you. However long it takes you. I'm only here to give you this message because I found it and it's taken me around. There's a lot of other things that have happened in my life that I will keep on private from my end. If you happen to hear from any other way, well, you don't understand why they go around and talk about it. And I'll let them do that because it helps me spread this around a little bit more. And I don't care what goes on around me, about me. I simply don't care. All I care about is that this is being moved the way it is, even if it looks like I'm censored, even if it's a shadow ban. It does not matter. The only reason why it goes on like that is pretty obvious if you sit down and think about it. Sit down and think about it. So that's it. I hope that it helps you get around. Please take a look at that playlist. Listen to what they say and listen very carefully to every individual that goes on. You will understand and you will begin to see how it all aligns to what goes on. Things that we have seen in the chronovisor, things that roll out, and messages. If you're paying attention and you know what I'm talking about, I'll leave it at that. I left a lot of posts, a lot of messages around that projected area. We've seen it somewhere, and I'm obviously inspired, not because it's the agenda, but it's sort of a warning to take a look and discern. Don't act irrationally. Take care of yourself, your mental health, because what they want is to scare people that run around rioting, doing their biting, so that they can go and say, whoa, we need more power and take away more freedoms. I am telling you that that's not the way to go. You show your freedom by speaking your mind and protecting what is giving you that freedom, no matter what. Have a wonderful day and week.